when you grow up in a society like Canada, a lot of the times you don't want to rock the boat.
You're soft. You're soft.
Soft.
That's a Canadian soft.
Exactly. That's where that terminology came from, because you start to realize when you step out of this country and then you come back, you start to realize that everything is on neutral planes. Everybody wants to remain neutral. They don't want to be too heavy on one side or too heavy on the other side. If they stay in the gray area, it's the safest area, and they don't have to deal.
To give you a piece of my mind.
Far from Normal Bros, and we back at it again. First of all, I'm gonna need you to tell a friend and tell a friend and tell a mother effing friend to follow and subscribe to your boys. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and other podcast platforms as well. You can catch us on YouTube and TikTok. That's Far From Normal Podcast. Make sure you type that into a search engine and see the boys on those clips. We got everything for you. We got the website, www.farfromnormalpodcast.com. We got all the links up there. Make sure you check it out. Of course, YouTube. We're on Instagram as well. That's far_from_normal_podcast. Check it out. You already know. It's your boy Fuzzy Vision. You know, I see the world clear. And you know, I see the future. And the future is bright. You already know. Fuzzy Vision with 2 N's. If you have any likes, dislikes, rebuttals, or you want to be on the podcast, hit your boy up. Sonny, drop the handle, baby.
You already know what it is. It's your boy Sonny Frames. You can catch me on the gram at Sonny, SONNY, Frames, double S at the end. Make sure when you do check out my Instagram page, check out my stories, because I usually post a lot of stuff that has to do with motivation, inspiration, chasing your dream, and execution. So let's not forget, any dream that you're trying to achieve, the only way that you'll ever achieve it is through execution and putting a plan to motion. So make sure that you don't just stay in the dream world, and make sure you make it a reality.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
And Fuzzy, let's get him. So already a quarter way through 2024, and a lot has happened on my side when it comes to life. But I want to find out what's going on with our guest. Yes, he's not on camera, but he is here in the studio. I want to find out with him, now that we're a quarter way through 2024, what's his plans for the future during this year? What's he trying to do? Could you first introduce yourself and then tell me a little bit about what you're trying to do for this year?
Hey there, audience. This is the cousin, AJ, last name Kamara.
Let's get it.
Let's get it.
Let's get it. Yeah, clap it up for a guy.
Next time I'm here, we have to turn the camera on.
Yeah.
Yeah, next time.
He's a little camera shy.
I was a little shy.
A little camera shy, but it's all good.
It's all
we
good,
still can
but-
proceed with the podcast.
Exactly. And we're still going to have the interview, and we're still going to ask him plenty of questions, seeing what he's getting himself into, especially for 2024. What's the plans? What are you up to?
Hopefully not too many questions, because I can't be here for long. So let's keep it short and sweet.
Well, we'll try to make it quick. We'll try to make it quick. You're a busy man, so
Yeah, let's talk about 2024, because we're already we're in a quarter way through the season, and like a lot of people have goals, have plans, have different things that they want to get going, especially with the year round and the year going by quickly. So what are certain things you do to prepare for the new year? Continuing, like I said, we're already a quarter in. So what are you doing in order to ensure that you have a successful year?
For me, it's all a mental game for me, and my background is in music. I do some music business stuff, such as A&R. So that's been mostly my goal for the past few years. So every year for me, it's attacking on how I could either elevate in that business, or maybe come up with a new plan of attack, or how to pivot if maybe things are not working out. So for me in the new year, I think I'm going to try to take my destiny into my own hands and kind of sign up some artists to my production company in a sense, and develop them and try to get them some deals.
Okay, so in terms of networking, how do you go about that? Because you're in the music industry, you have to deal with networking. Networking is a key component for you to, get anywhere. It's all about who you know. It's not what you know, it's who you know. So when it comes to that, how do you go about that, especially in this city, Toronto? I mean, there's a lot of musicians and there's a lot of people that are trying to get put on. How do you deal with the networking aspect of it? Where do you put yourself in, like, what environments?
For me, you just gotta get in the environments of like-minded individuals that I feel at least maybe, let's say you're at the end stage of your journey, try to be in those situations where there's people that were like you once upon a time and try to spread the knowledge or pay the knowledge that you've gained forward. Because people come to these events trying to learn new things and trying to figure out how to get to that next step. And if you have the keys, I don't think you should withhold the keys from other individuals that were like you once upon a time.
But do you find it difficult? Do you find it difficult to get, not necessarily put on, but just finding the right pieces to put you in position to win?
I think it is difficult no matter where you are, because you meet a lot of people that talk a good game and might sell you a dream and might say, or they even might show you like they have interest in what you're talking about and say, let's build, let's do this, let's do that. And then you
As a common occurrence.
And if you're naive, you get kind of excited about that. The next thing you know, once you leave that environment, now you're trying to reach out to this person and now they kind of ghosted you or stuff like that. Where it's like the energy that they presented is not the energy it is after the fact of you meeting them.
So do you feel that happens a lot in Toronto, or is that just a common thing in any big city that when people are doing stuff? What do you think?
I think it's common if you go around different places, people probably have the same type of story or same type of experience. But obviously with us being in Toronto, we just think it's a Toronto thing. But I think no matter what metropolitan city you go to, I think that's something you come across no matter where you're from.
But even with that being said, like I think we all have that issue with connecting with the right people. I think this is an issue for everyone, even with just dating. Like even dating wise, I think that it's hard to connect with people because of certain obviously gatekeeping or certain things going on. It's always hard to make new connections where you have to bring value to the situation in order for it to work out. So a lot of the times when you meet new people or you're so-called networking, you might not have any value to that person. So even though you met someone new, it's like, where can they fit you into their business, or where could they fit you into their life or whatever it is they're doing where they get benefits? So a lot of the times people will ghost or ignore or avoid certain others because they're looking at it like, well, there's not much benefit I'm seeing from this opportunity. I don't see it. So then, you get people that do those type of things. And speaking of gatekeeping, sometimes I think that's necessary, right? Like sometimes when you're at a certain point, you're going to gatekeep. You're going to not want everyone to go down the same path because then it's going to be oversaturated and watered down. So I think that you gatekeep in certain industries so you keep the quality up and the quantity down in terms of who's in there, because that all dictates how much you get paid as well. So the more people that are in there, the less pay is going to be offered for certain positions.
Yeah, I definitely understand that aspect of it. Yeah, I do believe that there has to be some sort of gatekeeping involved because, again, you mentioned quality, and that's important. In order to keep the quality, you have to make sure that not so much people come in. And then also it's about how much a person is contributing or what kind of merits does that individual have before they even put them on anything. Because a lot of people talk a big game, but when they ask for either credentials or what they can do or what they can provide or show me what you got and your hustle and your work ethic, then they fall short on it. Hence why they don't put them on certain things. But you also mentioned dating and how there's a similarity in that. So AJ, I just want to talk to you about that because you're 35 at this point, and what would you say in terms of the dating landscape in Toronto from like 25 to 35? What's your thoughts on how much has it changed and how much has it changed in your own life?
First things first, I really like that segue that they did there. Yeah, we had Ahmed. He touched on dating a little bit. And I was like, where's this guy going with this conversation? And then he passed the baton on to Ish.
That's how you do it, man. That's how you do it. This is my first
He
rodeo.
fully
brother.
transitioned the segue.
This is my first rodeo.
It's a pick and roll over here.
Pick and roll.
I saw the play.
Yeah, okay.
I saw the play coming, and in my head I was like, just going.
Yeah, I
to
came
the
with that
conversation.
slam dunk, buddy.
Yeah, he finished.
man.
He finished it off.
How's the dating? Like he said, how's the dating scene
Dating
from 35 to 25? Like say that 10-year gap.
Yeah, that 10-year. Yeah.
Like what would you say the differences are to compare the two?
Obviously, I think it's a big difference because now like social media is very prevalent compared to when I was 25.
Yeah,
and I think it's probably a little more difficult. Like, I guess as a young person, maybe navigating in this because now it's like you're not really meeting people in real life. Sometimes you're meeting people first. The thing is on some kind of social media platform.
Yeah.
While back in my day, even though I'm not that old, but back in my day, I was more you meeting people at parties or you meet them through a mutual friend, which still happens sometimes, but it's very rare now. So for me, it's like I don't know. I don't really partake in all the platforms they have now, like Bumble, Tinder, and all that stuff. It's me. I just kind of meet someone in real life, and if we hit it off, then we explore that. But yeah, I do feel sorry for the younger generation because it's a really weird time that I don't think they're really building.
It feels sorry.
I don't think they're really building fruitful.
But why do you believe that? Like, you don't think that like these social media apps or dating apps work? Do you think?
I think they work, but at a very small success rate. I feel. But I have some friends that like I just came from a wedding of one of my friends where I was a groomsman, and he met his wife on I think it was Hinge. So there is platforms that do have some success out of it, but just for me personally, I think I grew up in a time where I don't feel I could put my full energy into that.
So you're saying like you can't feel a connection? Because I understand where you're coming from because we're close in age. So I understand where you're coming from in terms of like there's no real connection, whereas it's better when you meet somebody in person because you can evaluate them a lot better because you can see their body language, you can see how they're responding to you. You can have a decent conversation. You can see in terms of even like how they respond to your answers and are they shifty or are they honest? You can gauge a person a lot easier when it's in person rather than it being on these dating apps, even though that we're in the times of dating apps and people are it's prevalent to this time. But I don't think, as you said, that there's a lot of success rate on it. Some people do succeed with their situations and finding a girlfriend on those apps and staying with them for a long period of time. But again, I think the best way is by meeting somebody through either mutual friends, communities, certain clubs that you're in. I think that's the best method of meeting people. And I'm also hearing that a lot of people are now starting to get away from a lot of these platforms and these apps because they're being burnt out. They're not getting what they're looking for, and also the whole swiping game and being on there 24/7 and not getting what you want, or when you see the person, they're not what you expect them to be. All of that plays a factor to why people are starting to hop off that and trying to find like real legitimate connections.
But see, my thing is, especially when it comes to say like dating apps and things of that nature, the other alternative would be, I guess, maybe what?
I just told you.
So picking up women in person?
No, I said mutual friends.
Oh, mutual friends. Well, not
communities, clubs.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the reality.
The workplace.
Workplace. Yeah.
Workplace. Yes, these are places that you could potentially find something, but at the end of the day, you might not find what you're looking for. So that's typically people are on these apps because they have those same options as well, right? So they're on these apps because now you know people that are on the market, right? You're not thinking, oh, does this person have a boyfriend or not? But
are they on the market? We don't know that necessarily. Some people have a boyfriend or girlfriend.
But I mean,
they just put themselves on the app to see what's out there.
Well, if you do that, that's on you. Like,
no, but I'm just saying that we
can't determine that. But I would say like you have like the illusion, at least, is that you have a shot, you have a
Yes.
chance
Mhm.
at making something happen.
Also,
getting a date
sometimes they're just
going.
looking for validation. They just want to go on there, get their fix.
Yeah.
People are liking their photos. They're saying sweet things to them. They just wanted to get a pick me up.
You're right.
And then that's it.
That's definitely gonna play a role in dating apps. That's like, it's gonna tie into social media. It's gonna tie into popularity. It's gonna tie into attention, because most of these apps are for attention, like,
Yes.
for the most part, right? So no one's gonna be mad at getting attention from these apps, whether they want to use it or not,
Yeah.
right? But the fact of the matter is, this is like the main way people are dating these days. So, like AJ was saying, he feels sorry for the newer generations that have to go through this, but even his generation, because you're still a millennial, which I'm a part of and which you're a part of, we are transitioning as well.
Mhm.
So whatever old school style we had, that's changing up. Like, we're now with the Gen Zs, like, we're doing the same thing they're doing.
Yeah.
If they're on those apps, we're on those apps. We're developed as well because we grew up in technology. So we have to keep up with the times. And if you notice, that's why even women your age will be on these apps. It doesn't make no difference.
Mhm.
Everyone's on these apps, right? Even older, probably now people in their 50s are on these apps, right? So
And even that, like the older women that
Yeah.
are on these apps.
Mhm.
What's your thoughts on that?
I think they have their own specific platform. I don't think all of them are on the same ones that the young people are on. Because now there's so many platforms. The platforms, if you want just a black person, if you want a Jewish person, if you want a Christian person. So I'm pretty sure the seniors have their own.
I don't think so, brother.
I don't think so. I think they're all in the same.
Bro, you're telling me they're not trying to, get a
I'm not saying they
young
don't cross exchange on platforms, but I know for every demographic they have their own platform.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
But obviously they do dabble in the other ones, maybe trying to
Mhm.
see another. Maybe they would like younger guys or younger
Mhm.
people in general. They might dabble into other platforms, but every group of person has their own platform that they could use if they want to.
Mm.
But do you think it's more of who you're going after rather than the actual app?
I think it's a mixture of both, and also like your intentions.
See, that's the biggest thing, the
yes.
intentions, right?
Yeah, like I know
Yeah.
back when I was younger and I dabbled in those apps, I was more looking for just having a fun time.
Yeah.
While I know there's other people that use it to actually find a relationship and whatnot.
But
Do you think that
Yeah,
you can
that's
find
what
a
I was-
legitimate
yeah, do you-
relationship off these apps, knowing that?
Yeah, I can't say you can't because again, I just came back from a wedding where my
Yeah.
friend met the girl on Hinge and now they're married.
But it's not set in stone.
Oh, no,
Just
it's not set in
because
stone,
they're
but I'm
married.
just
That's
saying-
what I'm saying. Like, yeah, you got to the
no,
marriage
but the
part.
point, it did proceed
Yeah,
to
it
the
did proceed
serious.
to the
Yes,
marriage.
we
It
can't, we
went
can't,
to the
we can't judge it
marriage.
after that.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
I don't know. Hopefully it does last because he is one of my good friends. But at least that's a good success story in terms of meeting off Hinge and now getting married.
And how long did it take before he decided to
I think they were together
for
for
marriage? Yeah.
2 years,
Okay.
and he's around. He's 33.
Okay.
All right. And what's the age difference between them?
She's 2 years younger than him.
All right. So,
is
okay. So,
roughly the
speaking
same.
of women in their 30s, now we're in our mid 30s pretty much. And what's your thoughts on women that are in their mid 30s? Are you still interested in women in their mid 30s, or are you interested in women that are a bit younger than that?
Again, I don't have that like. I don't know. I've never broke it down like that. For me, I'm just because again, I don't use these platforms a lot.
You
so
never broke it down. Wait, hold on. You never broke it down like that?
Yeah,
I
for
mean,
myself, no. Because for me, because I'm meeting people in real time.
So yeah, you just
Yeah, I don't have like
you don't have
a rubric.
yes, you don't
So,
have
like,
a playbook.
Let's say I just catch a vibe with somebody, and they just happen to be in their 30s. That doesn't really bother me. But if they happen to be like a little too young, or like in my brother's age group, which is like 26, my brother's 26 right now, that might give me a pause for a moment. But if a vibe is there, the vibe is there.
But my
But,
thing is, what's your intentions at this point? Like, you're saying the vibe. What's the intentions? Where are we going with this?
I can't say there's any intentions. It's like it's all for me case by case scenario. So let's say I just hit it off with somebody and we just have that spark or that fire that they speak of.
So you believe in this spark of
Yeah, I
flames
believe in
or
that. I don't-
fire,
I'm
whatever.
not
Butterflies in the stomach.
Butterflies.
I don't know if I go with butterfly in the stomach, but there's an energy that is exchanged. I do believe in energy, and
Okay.
energy is a real thing. And sometimes someone's energy could step in a room and you feel it. So I believe in that. But butterflies in the stomach, nah, that's maybe some high school little kid stuff.
I mean, I feel like when you say that spark or that energy, it's no different than butterflies in the stomach. It just
It's a
sounds
feeling,
better.
yeah,
It's a
just a
feeling.
feeling.
At the end of the day,
when
it's just
someone says
about how you
butterflies-
describe it.
Yeah,
someone says
Spidey
butterflies in the stomach,
senses. Spidey senses.
I feel like that means like you're nervous and like you're having a hard time getting your words out of your mouth, like that type of stuff. So I don't think I'm talking about that.
But the butterfly in your stomach is when they say like when you meet somebody you like, right? Then you get the butterflies in your stomach where you're all nervous because, you know, their presence and like their aura kind of gets you nervous, no?
I think, yeah, that's what I just said. Like butterfly stomach means nervousness.
So you don't get
So-
nervous when
no, I don't feel nervousness. It just feels like
even when a pretty girl she runs up on you or you see her and you still don't get oh snap, this girl's beautiful.
Yeah, I might get hesitant to talk to them, but I never get the butterflies.
But that's a nervousness. That's a nervous response signal, isn't that not?
I wouldn't say nervous. It's just maybe.
So what is that? That's the
That's the
only.
only
It could be
outcome.
It could also be intimidation. Let's say you just meet a girl, you feel she's
Yeah, when you're
super fine.
intimidated,
When you're intimidated,
nervous.
you're nervous because you're like, I don't know how she's
I
gonna
don't know how
respond
she's
to
gonna
me.
respond, how she's gonna react.
I
Am I
guess
gonna
in a
get
sense it could be, but I don't feel like that's what I was referring to when I said energy
Okay.
or feeling a spark. When you're feeling a spark, it means just like, let's say you're having a conversation. It's like you felt like, oh, I don't know this person, but yet this conversation is going so smooth.
Mhm.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about feeling nervous or anything like that.
So, but have you ever thought about that? They may just be a good conversationalist.
Yeah, they could be. But that in time, that's if you figure out that like, oh, maybe this wasn't anything. But in that initial meeting, you might think it's something, and then it's obviously up to you and the person to figure out where that goes and what if it was real or not.
See, the thing is, like, I feel like it's different. I think it's different. There's different things that different people offer. So, like you said, that spark. Sometimes somebody just hits the right button with you, right? So, like, you think that's the spark you're looking for because you might have not got that from others. So sometimes you can get that mistaken. What I notice, right? Depending on what that person does for you, how attentive they are to you, certain gestures, like these sometimes give the person more credit because they're doing extra stuff that has nothing to do with necessarily you liking them as a person or you necessarily wanting to be with them. So sometimes you can be deceived real quick in terms of like what's what. You don't even know if it's genuine. You don't know necessarily, you know, what you're getting yourself into. But I think that's just dating in general. I think you always don't know what you're getting yourself into. And even if you meet somebody, again, like you were talking about the community dating and stuff, like knowing, having mutual friends, how that makes it a lot more easier. I understand why, because again, if you're even picking up a girl from a grocery store or a Hinge or whatever, Bumble, whatever the case may be, you're rolling the dice on the character of that person because you're taking a risk and you don't know necessarily what the outcome may be.
And no one can vouch for that person, right?
Yeah.
The thing is, they could have a pretty colorful past and you wouldn't know.
But I guess the thing is that what's happening now is that people are more open to that. Like people are being open to that.
Are they open or are they just not thinking about certain aspects of dating?
Well,
Maybe they're just kind of going
my
in
thing
there
is that they
free-spirited.
must be open to it because the platforms have already taken over and we're all on our phones.
Yeah.
So the next easiest thing, just like Uber Eats was easy to order any dish you wanted around the city and bring it right to your front door, it's the same thing with dating.
So
You
is
can
that
pick-
open or is just laziness? There's
Well,
a
the
difference.
convenience, the fact of the matter is that like humans love shit that's convenient. So the fact that it's convenient is the main reason why people are interested in that, because the conveniency of it. They don't need to go outside. They can sit at their house. They can lie down, watch a show, swipe, maybe get who you like, depending on how, you know, good of a profile you have or how good looking you are. You swipe, and then you have a chance at whatever dating, doing whatever it is you wanted to do, right? So it gives convenience, especially to people that don't go out that often as well. You know, what are they going to do? If they're looking for love, if they're looking for even a casual fun, They have to look somewhere.
Well, yeah, you're definitely right, but I think that should give you more reason to go outside in terms of joining a club, because now you're staying active at the same time you're meeting people at the same time you're meeting people, because if it's so convenient that you're going to work to home to Tinder or Hinge or Bumble, I mean, you still have to go to these dates. So it's better you going outside and meeting people on your day to day rather than just sitting home and clicking or swiping, because again, you still have to plan the day. You still have to go out. So you have to get in routine of just being out and about. So that's why I don't think that it's as convenient it is to swipe and whatnot, the girl's not going to come to your front door.
But the fact of the matter is that the confidence in men is just not, it's not up there, bro.
It is
like that's just the fact of the matter,
I
especially
agree.
with this generation. Like how much guys are really going outside, seeing a girl they like, talking to them, having a conversation with them. At the end of the day, they feel a lot of pressure because the fact of rejection is there, right? So they're like, you know what? Do I really want to get rejected in public? Do I want to face that embarrassment? Even though it's such a quick moment when it doesn't work out, it's very fast, right? But if you're not used to that and used to being denied, it's tough to certain guys. And obviously women aren't going to go pick up a guy, so just forget about that, right? So even I guess you throw the ball in the women's court too on these dating apps, where maybe they benefit more than guys because they can definitely siphon through the men on their apps and pick out who they want. And if that guy so happens to respond, they can facilitate something there. But where a guy's on the app, it's going to be hard pressed for him to get the girl he wants if he doesn't have the markers of say success, or at least have good looks, or be the type of guy she wants. You're hard pressed for your options. You might see a lot of options on your page, but how many realistically are gonna be interested in going on a date with you?
So that's interesting that you mentioned that. I wanted to ask AJ, so do you think that there's a deficiency in the confidence level of these Gen Zs, and there should be more mentors to teach them and guide them on their confidence level?
I don't know if confidence is something you could teach somebody. I think that's something they gotta kind of build on their own.
How would they build on their own without knowing what confidence?
Like for example, myself, I was only child for quite some time. I didn't really have an older brother or a mentor in that sense of show me the ropes in terms of dating and the love life. And a lot of things I could credit who I became confidence wise and personality wise is just trial and error, being put out there in the field and just dealing with rejection, dealing with any situation you occur or encounter, and from there, as you learn from your mistakes or whatever, or bumps in the road, it kind of builds your confidence, character, personality. And that's why I feel like you can't really teach it. You could give somebody advice, but to really teach somebody, that's kind of hard. They got to kind of learn on the job, where I feel like so I'm grateful to have grown up in the time I grew up in, because you learned a lot of things on the fly. I didn't have to learn from somebody else.
See, no, I definitely agree with that, but I don't think everybody is capable of going through the same similar situation that you did and learning on the fly.
Here's the thing about learning on the fly, and this is what I hate about the saying of the shot saying, where it's like, all the shots, what did they say? All the shots you don't take.
100% of the shots was it 100% of the shots? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yeah, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, right?
Our last guest was talking about that.
Yeah, I fucked up that whole quote. But anyways, but the reason why I don't like that is because it's not applicable to every single person. It's applicable to some.
Yes.
I mean, that would make sense with somebody that's a good 3-point shooter, right? Like obviously you've been doing this, you know what it is. You're gonna make one. You have that confidence. You're gonna make one. It's not lost with you. But somebody that doesn't have the strength to even get a 3 close to the rim, how are you gonna tell them to keep taking shots? You get what I mean? No, you gotta work out. You gotta work your strength. We gotta start from the foundation.
And somebody needs to tell you this.
Someone needs to tell you this, right? So I'm always under that impression. Like at the end of the day, not everyone is built the same. Not
Yes.
everyone looks the same. Not everyone has the same, heritage or culture, whatever the case may be that gives them an edge in society. It's different for everyone. So I would never give the same advice to one person to the next and say, you can do what that guy did. And it's like, no, you can't. You can try to do what he's doing, but he's gonna always have more success. He's gonna always have more success than you. You're never gonna change that fact. But you could do certain things to maybe increase your chances, right? So I always say for confidence, especially in men, it's going to have to be different things that, they're going to have to look into in order to build their confidence. And that could be obviously working out, going and getting into the gym, getting your body in the best shape, you could be in, at least a healthy shape. At least that fixes one of the problems, obviously.
So I just want to jump in on that when you just said working out. A prime example about working out. If a person's out of shape and they go to the gym, but they still go home and they don't eat well, do you think that they'll be able to get in shape by themselves, or would they need a personal trainer? This question goes to AJ.
Would they need a personal trainer?
Yeah. So if they were already overweight, but they took it upon themselves to start going to the gym because they wanted to change their life.
Yeah.
But they've never went to the gym before.
Yeah.
So they go to the gym, but at the end of the day, they still eat the same thing they've been eating.
Yeah.
Do they need a personal trainer, or do you leave it into their hands to figure out what they need to do to get in shape?
For the person, if they're not eating right and they're still going to the gym and they're they're new to that gym lifestyle, maybe having a personal trainer to start off with to teach them the fundamentals would help their situation.
So wouldn't that also equate to confidence? Wouldn't you need a life coach if you didn't have confidence at the beginning, and then there's somebody that has confidence and now they want confidence? Wouldn't they need to find a life coach to teach them confidence in order for them to build on it?
I guess they could, but I don't know if that's guaranteed.
Nothing's guaranteed.
I wouldn't say a life coach, but they need some sort of mentor. They need some sort of mentoring.
Give some wise words and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, just based on my experience, no one taught me confidence. It's just something that you
that's anecdotal.
But you put yourself in uncomfortable situations and then
that's
kind of
fine.
get comfortable.
That's cool. Like obviously you gain your confidence out of, kind of thin air in a sense, because you didn't necessarily know exactly what made you confident. You think maybe trial and tribulation, basically. But
I could say the same for myself.
Yeah, like some of us go through trial and tribulation, but like I said, that's really anecdotal to your own experience, to my own experience, to my bro's own experience, and that's not everyone's experience. So if you were to give advice to people listening, for example, that didn't get to have those opportunities, like what do you think gives a man confidence in that sense? Because we can say we got confidence through trial and tribulation, but you only get confidence through success. If you failed all those times, your confidence doesn't rise. It actually diminishes. You lose your self-esteem, right? You get a lower self-esteem.
Depending on the person. I know some people that could get rejected 100 times and still go for that 101st time. So
but that means success should have been there, right? Like they wouldn't take 100 straight L's. Like realistically, even those people that are immune to it, they know that success is on the horizon.
I don't know. I can't co-sign that completely.
Okay.
I just feel that do whatever you feel you need to do to get where you need to get to. If you need that confidence, do what suits you. If it's not the trial and error method, maybe you have to go seek somebody to be your mentor or be your life coach. So it's whatever you feel you need, do what you need to do for yourself, because on both sides or any side of the spectrum, there's failed stories. There's failed stories of somebody that had a coach and they still committed suicide. And the stories of people that are going through trial and tribulation and still weren't able to gain that confidence that they needed. So for you, just figure out what you need for yourself and what fits you.
See, my thing is with your answer, I notice our generation, especially millennials and even Gen Z probably the same way, we always answer questions kind of vaguely.
And indifferent.
And we're indifferent about the results or how to get the results. And well, everyone is different. And I don't know necessarily for him. I don't know necessarily for her. But I know for me, it's all a lot of the vagueness we say. And we're not what I'm trying to say is, in this generation, what I'm starting to realize is that people never want to get down to the solution.
Mm-hmm.
They never want to just say their opinion, right or wrong. And when I talk to people, it's like, why are you scared to just come out and say what your opinion is? And I'm noticing that, this is no diss to you. It's just that I noticed this is the way we kind of debate topics, or we answer subjects we don't understand. We kind of give a vague answer, so we're not too leaning on the right side or too much leaning on the left side, so we can kind of just stay in the happy medium where there's no room for conflict.
I think that's a cultural nuance.
You think that's just...
I think it's cultural because when you grow
pretty
up
much unconfrontational. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, when you grow up in a society like Canada, a lot of the times you don't want to rock the boat.
You're soft. You're soft.
Soft.
That's a Canadian soft.
Exactly. That's where that terminology came from, because you start to realize when you step out of this country and then you come back, you start to realize that everything is on neutral planes. Everybody wants to remain neutral. They don't want to be too heavy on one side or too heavy on the other side. If they stay in the gray area, it's the safest area, and they don't have to deal with anything that they don't want to deal with. You know, they want to worry about their own life and what's going on in their life. They're not going to speak on other matters because it has nothing to do with them. That's why a lot of people are indifferent. There's no point of being ostracized by certain communities or criticized by other people when you had no bone in that fight anyways. So you would rather just not say much and keep it moving. You know, you keep it peaceful, and then people don't look at you anyway. You're just kind of, you know, a fly on the wall.
Interesting. I just think about that just because I noticed this like pretty frequently.
Yes, I've noticed.
What's your thoughts on that, AJ? In terms of like, do you think that's something that you like to do, and like, do you like to just be more neutral in terms of your opinion, or are you a guy that's like firm on opinions, or you'll be like, no, I believe this is this, and I believe like we should be headed towards this direction? Or are you a guy that you kind of just, you know what, life is full of surprises. I can't tell you right from left, left from right. It's just you got to do your own thing and see how life takes you.
I think depending on the subject matter, I think that's where my stance may change. Like if it's something that I'm passionate about and that I feel that I have knowledge about, then I'll be very firm in my opinion. But if it's something that's like I'm not super knowledgeable about and I do have my opinion on it, I'll state my opinion, but I won't be as putting my foot down on it like I know of this for a fact. So for me, I'm kind of a forever student. So it's like if I'm not knowledgeable about certain things, I won't be so strong with my opinion and be open for the opinions that I'm hearing from others. So for me, it's based on the conversation, based on the subject matter.
But I think that you can still stand on business and stand on the ideas that you believe, even though you're not too knowledgeable about it. I think you could stand on it, and then if somebody could prove that wrong, then you're open to, you know, hearing them out and making the adjustments necessary to the idea that you came in with. But when you stand at the indifference level, when you stand on the neutral ground, it's kind of hard to see where you stand on.
Well, it's hard to see where the growth can come from that, right? Like if someone's trying to explain something and, you know, you're indifferent about it, it's hard to kind of, where could they, if you're indifferent, doesn't matter which point they come across, like whichever point they're arguing.
You'll never sway
you because you're like, well, that makes sense in some scenarios, but in some it won't. Like, so we're always in with that battle.
So we're kind of in limbo.
We're in limbo land.
Yeah,
I notice you don't really want to be there.
It's like you're kind of in a stalemate. Like if you're in a chess match, and then you guys get stuck at a certain move, and it just stays there. It just lingers right there. Nobody's making a move because it's like, well.
But do you think that's due to like what's happening now? Because if you think about it, we now turn to a whole PC culture, right? So now we're kind of scared to talk about certain things. And you know that, I know that. Like certain shit we say, you know, people don't like. People don't necessarily mess with that. And
of course,
they come after us and, you know, bring it. Come on,
bring it.
Yeah, bring it. Come on. My whole thing is just like, it's our opinion. we're not saying we're right in every single scenario, but we're gonna stand on business, like we said. Like we're gonna stick to what we think is right. And when someone proves us wrong, like we said, come on the show. If you want to prove us wrong, come on the
Yes.
show and we can have a
We're
conversation.
not saying we're right.
We're
but
not saying we're necessarily right.
We're
but
just
we
saying
lean
that this
towards
is what we believe in.
Yeah, this is what we believe in
And
for
this
the
is what
time
we
being.
stand on. Exactly.
And we can change our opinion.
Yeah,
so
that's what I'm saying. We're open to change our opinion, but at the
Absolutely.
same time, we're gonna stand on business. We're standing on our ideologies. We're standing on our principles. We're standing on our belief
because what do they say? If you don't stand for something,
you stand for nothing.
fall for anything.
I mean, fall for anything.
There
Even though
you
I'm
go.
butchering these sayings.
Fall for anything. So
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. Because like I said, I think nowadays because of PC culture and stuff that's going on, you hear it with Trump, you hear it with Kanye, you see who's getting canceled, Kyrie Irving. The list goes on.
Speaking
in terms
of those
that.
guys,
Mhm.
those guys, that's one thing I admire about a lot of those guys like Trump, Kanye West, Mike Tyson, Muhammad Ali. These guys are outspoken,
Uh-huh.
charismatic, standing on business, standing on their principles, standing on their ideologies. No matter what you say, they're not getting swayed. It doesn't matter. You could call them crazy, you could call them insane. They're gonna die on their belief system. They're dying on that cross because they believe wholeheartedly in what they stand on their principles and whatnot. And then people can resonate with that because it's like no matter what you say to him, no matter how much you criticize him or try and ostracize him or badmouth him, he's gonna stand on business. He's gonna stand on those same principles, and you could be as blue in the face as you want to be, but no matter how angry you are, they're gonna say the same thing. Every time you ask them what 1 + 1 is, they're gonna say 2.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
What's your thoughts on trailblazers like that, AJ? Like, what's your thought on those type of men or women in the world that are that type of personality where they're direct, they
That
tell
type
you
of
what
bravado.
it is, they have that type of bravado, and even this can come even in the music industry
Yeah.
where you have the cocky rappers where they have so much confidence and they say what it is, whether they're dissing guys, whether they're talking shit in their music, saying they're the best in the city. There's a lot of like that shit that happens even in that industry. So what's your thoughts on those type of people when they have that huge cast of confidence over themselves where they feel they can do and say anything and get a good reception out of it, a sort of arrogance?
I feel it's somewhat needed in a degree. And with Kanye, you might ask Kanye what's 1 + 1, and he might say 3. He might not even say 2.
Oh yeah, you're right.
And,
You're right. But at the same
type
time,
of
he's still
confidence he
standing on
has-
business.
The type of confidence he has, you might believe him. Oh shit, it might be 3.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly.
Kanye's a good example. I think Trump is probably the best example because he
Yeah.
actually stands on business, even if you're trying to maybe shoot him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Kanye, I think sometimes he does some stuff for entertainment value and stuff
for
like
sure.
that.
Yeah.
100%.
And then Mike Tyson's another one that's unapologetically himself.
Yes.
So I think that was a good example too. Yeah, for that, I think you need people like that that's just gonna just show that they're gonna stand on whatever they stand on, no matter what people think, and no matter what the consequence might come of what they say or what they do. And yeah, those were some good examples of people that do whatever they want, no matter what people think. Yeah,
Okay.
but Trump and Tyson probably the top
the
guys. in
top
that.
crazy guys.
Yeah,
It's funny that they call those guys crazy or degenerate or
I
whatever.
think they call them crazy because they don't want people to follow suit.
Follow suit. That's what it
Okay.
is. That's what it
So
is.
I-
They
I-
want to
I-
limit the
that's why-
amount of people. Yeah,
That's why I
that
never said
follow
crazy when I just mentioned those guys, because they
them.
probably.
I also don't think they're crazy.
Yeah, I don't think
I
they're
think it's
crazy.
just it's not a model that in a democracy or in a country that leans heavily to the left, they don't want individuals to fall in line with that type of ideology. They don't want people to be
rebellious nature.
rebellious nature, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's those guys they represent rebelling against the system.
Mhm.
They want you to fall in line. If people criticize you or ostracize you, they want you to run back to the crowd and be like, "Oh, I'm sorry," and apologize and kowtow to the
Mhm.
whole group and say, "I'm so sorry. Why did I talk about this specific topic? I
Mhm.
apologize to this specific group because of this and what I said." They want you to be apologetic.
That's true.
And a lot of people are usually falling in line with that
Mhm.
ideology. But you always have the trailblazers that are just like, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
I don't believe I should apologize. I don't think I'm sorry. I don't think I'm wrong for saying what I'm saying. This is how I feel about the situation. This is the research I did on the situation. So this is what I know. It's like, no, you're wrong. But it's like, you want me to be wrong when it doesn't even make sense to be wrong.
Mhm.
So that's why I'm standing on business and saying, no, I'm not going to apologize. I'm not going to kowtow. I'm not going to be one of the drones that you want me to be or one of the sheeps to follow the herd. I'm going to stand alone if need
I think
be.
it's the biggest thing is like thinking outside the box. You have to kind of, you have to put in your head that you're thinking outside of the box in those scenarios.
Yes.
It's like most people play it safe, and that's just playing it safe, when it comes to that. And a lot of people like people that play it safe because it's safe, it's easy, there's not too much ruckus going on. Like we can all agree, majority of us can agree, and we'll be fine with that. But when you have the trailblazer in any sense, they always are doing the most, what it seems like they're doing the most, right? Whether it's for attention, whether it's for fame, notoriety, whatever the case may be. But again, I notice in life that the people that are captivating are the ones that are somebody's.
Yes.
The people that are captivating, the people that stand on this business we're talking about, they're the ones that are getting the looks. If you notice, like we're looking at them like, oh, this person's an idiot. They're dumb. How did they get? We look at Trump. People look at Trump like he's an idiot. Like he doesn't know. And again, it's just like we said, 1 + 1 = 2. Trump might be 1 + 1 = minus whatever. Like he might be totally gone. Who cares? At the end of the day, he has his position and you have your position.
Mm-hmm.
You can criticize him from your minuscule spot or whatever.
Standing on the sidelines, you stand on the
You're
sidelines.
not even on the sidelines. You're lower than that. You're the ants on the bleacher, collecting crumbs. But point of the matter is, what I'm saying is, like, I think even for the younger people coming up, you want to teach them that confidence, not to necessarily be braggadocious or be arrogant necessarily with it, but I think you have to have it. You have to promote this idea of people being able to believe in their own abilities and also work on their own abilities. So with them working on their abilities, they can now have confidence in the abilities they already have. And that can be anything. Like you get confident from reading, increasing your vocabulary. That's a big confidence booster when you're talking with people. Learning a different language, another confidence booster. Maybe traveling to different places, solo traveling, meeting local people. There's so many different things, working out, joining groups, clubs, getting interesting hobbies. There's lots of things that you can do as a man, as a woman as well too, but I'm only speaking to men in this scenario. But you can do a lot of things to raise your confidence. It's not just necessarily about getting your money up. That's one P of the pod, but I think you have to encourage, people working on themselves, with their mental, physical, and spiritual. Again, all those things together, then you can start, possibly having more confidence and then possibly changing your faith in terms of like who you're dating or the friendships you have or the networking you're doing. Like all these things will play its part when it comes to increasing your confidence.
That's very interesting. So I wanted to mention to AJ, what's your thoughts on marriage at this stage in life? Is it something that you see in the future, or it's something you're really rocking with in this day and age?
I grew up in a household where my parents were married for over a decade of off and on. So for me, just seeing that, it kind of turned me off from that idea of marriage. So yeah, marriage has never been something that's been on my checklist. I go to weddings, they're beautiful. I appreciate them when I go to them or go to the events, especially if there's somebody that's close to my heart. But for myself, it's never been on my checklist as I become an adult. Maybe back when I was like maybe a kid and you watching movies and then having that, thinking of that Hollywood story. But as I've come older and come to realization, I don't feel that's like something that's
you're gonna partake in.
I don't want to say never, because maybe there might be a girl that might be able to switch my stance on that, or maybe I might be in a different headspace, let's say 10 years from now. but currently it's not on my checklist. I more would like to maybe celebrate our companionship,
Mm.
but I don't feel I need to get married and do the whole legal stuff and all
I think
that
that's
stuff.
more of a push from the woman, anyways, than the man. On the man side, I think a lot of men are okay with just being in a relationship, especially if the relationship is going well.
Yeah, that sentiment's not lost amongst men. Like I think
Yes.
men would ride the wave of a long-term
Yeah.
relationship without marriage
Yes.
if that wasn't a requirement of the woman. Like I
Yes.
think, or maybe parents of the woman or your
Yes.
parents. I think that most men from our generation aren't rushing to marriage
Mhm.
unless they come from like a traditional family where the parents are married and are still married to this day, and they've seen that, good example. Of course, people that even come from bad situations want the good example. They don't want to repeat what they seen. So there's always those people as well. But um do you think it's possible to have a long-term relationship in this country though without securing a marriage? You think you can just
Yes, I do. I
do
actually
that?
have a guy that works with me that
Mm-hmm.
was with his woman for 10 years
Mm-hmm.
with no marriage. He said he had his marriage at a younger age. So he was a lot younger when he did have his first marriage.
Mm-hmm.
He had cancer. He beat cancer. So at the time of when he was going through chemo and all of that stuff, he felt like his life was flashing before his eyes. So
Mm-hmm.
the woman that he was with at the time was sticking around while he was going through all these procedures and stuff of that nature. So he felt that when he came out of it, that would be his thing to try and marry her. And he did. But he said the thing he liked about the girl was the fact that she was a party girl, right? And he enjoyed partying. So
Mm-hmm.
he just thought they were a great fit. But then he realized in a marriage situation, being a party girl wasn't quite what he wanted.
Yeah.
And he just wanted her to tone it down. But she didn't want to do that. She didn't want to change the lifestyle that she was accustomed to, even though that she was married. So that didn't end up working out because they couldn't come to an agreement with like the amount of partying that she was doing. So they ended up having a divorce, and he was only married to her for a year. And then the next girlfriend he got, he stayed with her. He said after that situation of leaving her after a year, it really hurt him. And it took him 10 years to marry his future wife. Now it's his wife, but he's only been married for a year. But it took him 10 years to get to that point.
Interesting. I wonder about like long-term relationships and if they can potentially work without that binding legal contract.
I know actually
right?
2 people that were like that.
The reason why I say that is because obviously if you're bound to this contract that you sign when you get married,
Yeah.
it's a lot more difficult to dissolve the marriage. Like even if you're not happy, and we already had a guest on here, with the sexless marriage. And
Yes.
being in a relationship for like 11 years and not having sex after the first year of marriage, like that's an extreme case, right? But
what religion is this? Sexless marriage?
Yeah, it was bad.
well, it wasn't meant to be sexless. That's just where things
That's where it
went.
went?
Yeah,
Jeez.
well,
But
yeah.
you're telling me that all these parents that you see walking around, they're all having sex with each other? All these
For
married
sure.
couples?
There's a lot of people that are just still together legally, but not really together. Just basically like
And there's a
roommates.
lot of sexless
and
marriages.
see, that's the thing too. Like, and I want to talk about that funny thing about the sexless marriage, because I was having a conversation about like the city being expensive, and then one of my boys is like, he's like, yeah, that's why people get together. This is why people get married. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, because it's so expensive, the incentive to get married is to combine incomes, right? Like at the same time, because we're not traditional in this country,
Yes.
right? We're not getting a woman and expecting them to stay at home and take care of the kids when we're not making a certain amount.
Yes.
And in this city, it's a working city. Like not a lot of people are making over 200, like
Yes.
to support a full family with a wife that's a stay-at-home wife, right? So these are hard things that aren't available to everyone. And he was just basically saying this is why people are getting together. So when we're talking about sexless marriages, a lot of people are getting married for the wrong reasons. They're getting married because of financial reasons as much as much less romantic reasons,
Yes.
right? So when you get married because of the wrong reasons, sex is not going to be something that's on the table for you every single day.
Yes.
That's something that's a privilege. That's something that's a luxury, even within a marriage. So can you imagine being married to somebody and they hold sex as a prize for you?
That would be tough, because if sex is no longer on the table, what are we really doing? Although there's different aspects that a wife can do that uh, can help with, you mentally, but I think the
I don't think
physical.
there's anything that can substitute sex.
No, I was gonna say, but with the physical, no relationship can work without the physical. I don't think any relationship can work without the physical.
That's a
because
platonic one.
Oh, yeah, that's a platonic one, exactly. So then why are we married? That's the question, right? So that's my thing when it comes to women. If you decide to get married and then you withhold sex, now could that be a legitimate reason for a guy to divorce you?
Withholding sex, absolutely. That's part of the agreement.
Yeah, I know, but would that be?
I think there is
Would they allow
grounds.
that?
Yeah, I
Would
think
they allow that?
So I know someone that divorced his wife for that exact reason. Yeah,
Okay.
he had a similar situation where he married this girl like years ago. He's an older gentleman, so he must have married this girl when she was like young and fit and everything like that. He's saying she was a gorgeous girl at the time that he married her. But what had happened is throughout the years they had kids and shit. So he started to see like she stopped. They would go to sleep naked together. He started to not to notice that she would put clothes on or she'd be under the covers, not really trying to show off her body, et cetera, et cetera. Slowly, the sex started shortening. He's not really getting sex as he wanted, and to the point that it was an issue. So then, he realized that there's been a change in terms of maybe the attraction level and stuff like that, and he filed a divorce because of the fact that he wasn't having sex with his wife. Now I don't know what the legal term is, or if there is even a term for that. But that was his reasoning. So that was interesting. I'm like, interesting. Like you could divorce for not, having sex with your partner or something like that. I'm like, that's very interesting because I know a lot of people that are in this scenario and they're doing it because they have either kids or the financial burden's too great on the person maybe getting the divorce, say the husband. He might have to pay alimony plus child support plus, lose 50% of his marital home, so these are big things that will keep a person locked into marriage, whether it's romantic, whether it's sexless. It doesn't matter. These are the legal binding things you sign up for when you do get a marriage compared to long term. This is why people would be more hopeful maybe for a long term because they're like, well, at least I won't be financially strapped, right?
Well, that's if you're not living with the girl, because again, after 6 months, we're living with a girl.
Is the common law.
stuff
So
like
there's a lot of ways where you can't escape it, and it's the
Yes.
reason why the government doesn't want you to get a free ride.
that. Exactly.
They want you to pay into the government, something, whether it's a divorce, whether it's because common law would be considered a marriage, and then etc. And you have to hire lawyers and the judges and all that comes back to the government and everything like that. So you always have to think about the long-term consequences or benefits. It just depends where your mindset's at and what you've seen. And if you've seen good examples, you go with the good example. If you've seen bad examples, then you weigh out your options.
The irony of this conversation, I just had this conversation with my mom literally yesterday, and about the marriage conversation. And my mom was born in Sierra Leone, and over there, it's almost like religion that, like, as a woman, you have to get married, find your husband, et cetera, et cetera. And she told me verbatim that if she could do it again in another lifetime, she would never get married, which spoke volumes because she grew up in a time where that was what was sold to you. That was what you needed to do. That was like the end goal. You need to find your man and get married and build your family. But even her, who's been through it, has come to realization that if she could come back again and do it all over again, she would just do a companionship. She wouldn't do a marriage.
So you have any concluding statements to finish it off? Because that's pretty interesting, because I do hear a lot of that from some women that already have kids, and in hindsight, they start thinking about what they could have done with their life had they have not been married. And it's the same with men as well, having those regrets, because that's the narrative that's been pushed in society. But the whole purpose of marriage is to move society along, for people to replenish the earth with other human beings. So having a two-parent household
Also, yes.
will help to cultivate a new child, a new seed, and for them to be productive in society. So I think a lot of people, even though they say that they'd rather just be in a companionship situation, it the whole purpose of marriage is beyond their happiness. It's a duty. It's part of you playing a role in the bigger scheme of life. Like just there's a bigger picture where, again, you're cultivating the new seeds of the world.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, but if you go deep dive into the marriage, the whole aspect of it, it was man-made ideology. So it's like it wasn't the purpose of like, oh, to spread your seed, because you could do that without being married.
I think it's for the fact of
It's
families
illegal.
and
There's a
stuff
legal
like this.
sense to it. The government wanted to get into it. It's a whole deep dive when it comes to that marriage stuff.
Well, yes, you're absolutely right. It is deep. It goes very deep, but it's something that's been it's been prevalent in society for years. But like I said, I think that you have to weigh the options out, and there's going to be a lot of people that regret it, and there's going to be a lot of people that have good scenarios. You're going to have to judge it for yourself.
Yeah, do what makes you happy, guys. Do what makes you happy.
There you have it.
There you have it.
And I think we've said what we need to say on this podcast.
Yeah, man. Good topic.
It's a good topic. What's your thoughts on it, AJ? Like, just coming on.
Next time you got to go on the camera.
Next time I got to be on the camera. Yeah, this was an experience. This is my first time on a podcast. Yeah, it feels to get this. It feels good to get this under my belt, and hopefully next time I'm on camera. Stay tuned.
Exactly. Well,
Let's
you heard it from himself. Next time we'll put him on camera.
100%.
And we are out. Deuces.
Gang.